Day 3, Identity Erasure.
And the development of the Nazi regime. She explored the dire consequences of Hitler's racism and ideas of racial purity. Ultimately, Dr. Annie highlighted how survivors conveyed the tragedy of the Holocaust through testimonies, memoirs, documentaries, poetry, novel, journals, and movies, along with the contribution of second and third generation Holocaust writers. We eagerly look forward to today's session. Ma'am gave us an assignment yesterday to reflect on our understanding of the concept of identity. I request all the attendees to share their responses in the chat box on how they perceive and reveal the word identity. Meanwhile, I also request all the participants to turn on their videos so that the group pictures can be taken.
Okay. Today we will look into this identity and how the identity was erased inside the concentration camps. Okay, but before going into that, I want you to tell me who you are. Or maybe I'll go with few slides, then we will go there. Okay. So
Yeah,
today our
Okay.
session might look as a small one, but we have in-depth meaning. So we will first check what is identity and why identity is important. And then finally we will move on to how the identity got erased inside the concentration camp. So to introduce identity, so Encyclopedia Britannica defines identity as who someone is. The first meaning is who someone actually is, probably the name. Who are you? Somebody asks, who are you? Probably I say, I'm Ali. And then the qualities, the beliefs, the work that you do, all that forms your identity. So, probably inside my college campus, if somebody asks, who are you? I probably, the first answer that I would say is, I'm a teacher. I'm an English teacher. That would be my answer. So, who are you is the question. Who am I? Can you answer now? Have you ever thought of who you are in your lifetime? Here are few theories. I will explain those theories once I get your answers. You can either go to your chat box or you can on your mic and then you can tell me. Other than your name and your job, is there any possibility of telling who you are? Any answers? Any other identity you have other than being a human, other than your name? Is there anything else that is very specific about you? Now, this is not a question that is into a discussion just today or during Holocaust, but it took a very long time. The characters or the traits which defines a man can be called as its identity. Like you gave an example, being a teacher, okay, character. Identity is not an innate or fixed. Very good, it is not fixed, but rather a social construct. Yes, of course, we will see this. I believe Pratik Anand must be a researcher or a teacher. He is giving very precise answers. Okay. Thank you all for your answers. We will see what identity is according to few theories, and then we will move on to our session today. So, social identity theory is where people believe that you cannot identify yourself as an individual. Now, say when I say I am a teacher, then probably that is partially, no, it may look like a very individualistic identity, but then I belong to the teacher community. If you call human, then you belong to this human species. If you call yourself a woman, the same happens. The same goes for everything. If you call yourself a doctor, and then mostly the next step would be I'm an Indian, I'm an African, I'm an you talk about your place or you talk about your religious belief. You call yourself a Christian or a Muslim. This is your identity, and this identity comes from a social group. This is not formed only with you and your perception, but with the society to which you belong to. So that is why human beings are called social animals because we live in a society. We live as a group, and we also identify ourselves as if we belong to certain group. Okay, so that is the theory, social identity theory. And looking glass self is a very interesting theory where you're not okay with the identity that you have inside you, or you may not have something defining yourself. Rather, you get that from the others, whatever the peers or the society tells you. Now, this is where we are supposed to be very careful with our words, especially when we talk to our children. I believe you all belong to this younger group, so probably you have elder brothers or elder sisters, and those people might have children. So you will have your niece and your nephews. So make sure that you are very careful with your words. If you are going to keep calling a child you are stupid, you do things stupidly, you don't have brain. If you keep telling this, then the child will think, okay, I think I am stupid. I think I cannot do this. You are structuring the identity, especially for these little children. That is why even in schools, you are expected not to use such terms like you are stupid and things like that. So you should always have this in mind, especially when you are talking to no small children. So that is one important thing that I want you to. And this is where the self-esteem also goes low. So that is looking glass self. And narrative identity. Narrative identity is very important and it has close connection with Holocaust because narrative identity is something that you create. I narrate about myself. Say, for example, if I want to talk about myself, I say I am a teacher, I am a good teacher, I am a kind person, this and that. I keep telling this, and at one point I believe all that, and I set my identity that way. Even if it is not that way, I'll set it that way. So that is narrative identity. Narrative identity is you set a narrative of yourself. What happens inside Holocaust? What happens with the Holocaust survivors? They write their narrative. They write what happened to them. Therefore, they create their own identity. And intersectionality. Intersectionality is again very interesting and it has a lot of connection with India as well because we have the intersection of caste, gender, class, and whatnot. So we have this intersection, and with all this only we create our identity. You have this class division and caste division, and also gender division. And I am a woman, probably I belong to the upper class, or I am a woman from a Dalit community. So you have this intersection, and accordingly, my identity is narrated, my identity is projected. And then postmodern identity. This is where the change comes. See, I was telling you about narrative identity. I was talking to you about looking glass identity, where this identity is kind of fixed. But postmodern identity is where this permanent identity is being broken. Now, what happens here? Stuart Hall says identity is not fixed. It keeps changing. Now, imagine myself here in India, in the southern part of India. I am here, and I talk Tamil, and I follow so and so culture, and I follow so and so religion. And after years, I realize, as an individual, I realize certain rituals that I follow are not worthy to be followed. And certain principles that my parents taught me are good enough rather than these rituals. So I'm a person who started being for the principles rather than for the rituals. Then there is a shift change in my identity. I am not a religious person anymore. People may identify myself as an atheist, but for me, I am a very moral being. I do nothing against the moral values that I have. So now this is a change. And after some time, there is someone, a sage or, a prophet, somebody comes to me and they are talking about who the God is, how to attain God in this human world, in this human body. Then my belief changes. And then I believe something, maybe I take up some religion and I follow that, or something happens in the due course. So my identity that keeps changing, and also with the one who looks at me. It's not just within. Not I'm not talking about the self identity, but I'm also talking about how people look at me. Now I give you another example. Say I am here. See everybody. I am in the inclusive community. People include me because I belong to this place. Now imagine I go to Japan or say I go to Korea. What happens there? I believe today all the young people or a die-hard fan of all this BTS songs and things like that. But the reality is, if you really get into Korea, I don't think the way you love Korea, I don't think they love you back. They have this difference. They have this racial difference with them. Okay, they always treat you, or I don't want to generalize, but the general idea is this. So imagine if I go to Korea and I teach them. Probably my students there think, who this Indian is coming and teaching me, or this black race is coming and teaching. They might have such ideas. I'm not sure. And then there my identity changes. And there my identity, self-identity also changes. I don't identify myself as a Indian anymore. I identify myself as an Indian in Korea. I identify myself as someone who belongs to the no the minor community in Korea. I identify myself as someone who's into discrimination and who's into displacement and all that. So identity is not fixed, as someone mentioned. It keeps changing, and your identity can always be changed for the better. And Foucault's disciplinary power and identity is again a very interesting area of study, because Foucault, in his discipline and punishment, he talks about power, the power structures, and also he talks how this identity is formed. When you are with the power, your identity is different, and the powerless has the identity dictated by the one in the power. The dominant circle narrate the identity of the powerless. So all of these are some of the theories that revolve around this identity, and why this identity is actually important. Only with this identity you will have a sense of belonging. If you are, say, some other person, this is why you have a lot of movies where aliens come here and they don't have a sense of belonging because they don't belong to this place. You cannot identify yourself with any of the human race that are here. Say, for example, you have a college or you have a family members with full of people from North India, and suddenly there is a boy who comes to South India and marries a girl from South India, and you have a southern girl in your family, then that girl probably she will not feel, at least in the beginning, she will not have the sense of belonging because her identity is different. So only when you have an identity, you have a definite identity, therefore you belong to a place. So that is more important. And self-understanding, you should also understand yourself. Only when you have the history, only when you have the history of the family to which you belong to, or the culture to which you belong to, then you have the self-understanding, you have the self-worth. And social cohesion and social stability also happens only when you have such identity. Because with identity, you also create a group. You have this sense of belonging, and that Actually, when you belong to something and when you, as a group, you think you belong to each other, most of the problems get solved at that place itself. If you think we are, say, you have UG and PG, maybe you think the first UG people, they think we are identified as first UG, sorry, first PG. We should work for our class. If you think you yourself as a class, then most of the problems are solved. When you think yourself as an individual person, then there comes all problems like who's first, who's next, who's the most loved student by the teacher. All of this comes when you think individually. When you think as a class, then you work harder, and the very way of looking into the education system and looking into the meaning of friendship differs. So your meaning and purpose. See, when I think myself as a Annie, it is different. I think very selfishly maybe. But when I think as a teacher or as an Indian or as a woman, then I have more meaning. I have more long purpose to do as a teacher or as an Indian. So meaning and purpose also changes when you have your identity. And moral and ethical guidance. See, this is why your parents, when you're a child, most of your parents must have said, don't spoil my name. If you're going to do this, then my name is spoiled, they say. Why? Because you are identified as somebody's daughter. You are identified as somebody's son. You are identified as somebody belong to this family or this culture. So identity has a long history. When you have an identity, it's not just yours. You are interconnected with your family, and your family is interconnected with the society to which you belong, and that society is connected to the religion. So, in this, we are all interconnected only because of the identity. So, identity is more important. You have diversity and also individuality. You have resilience in adversity. See, this is how we fought for freedom. If everybody thinks, okay, I get my food, why should I fight? We couldn't have got our freedom today. We thought that India must be liberated, and we fought amidst the adversity, and today we have our independence. And cultural continuity. Today, see, you wear your modern dress, you wear everything that you want. But when it comes to your Navratri, or when it comes to your Diwali or your Pongal celebration, you go into your cultural attire, isn't it? Of course, today you go get into your cultural attire for your Snapchat and for your Instagram reels. But still, I'm telling you, you have this cultural identity also. You should give importance to that as well. And empowerment and agency. See, when somebody is suffering, the community will look into it. That's how it works. Say, for example, if your relative is suffering, if your relative's child is unable to get her education or his education, your family will help that child, isn't it? So we empower each other, and conflict also resolved. As I was talking to you about how we fought for our freedom and all that. So now, this is why identity is more important. And again, you can connect this with our caste system, our Dalit literature, refugee literature, diasporic literature. You have a lot of literature coming in with this identity crisis. Okay, for today's class, as I was discussing, we will look into the social identity theory. This personal, what is very personal, is also a community. What am I is one question, but what you are is also your community. Okay, so this human body is more important. See, what you are, when I ask this, you have nothing else to show us, but your body is your first, no, the raw material that you have in hand. What are you? You are first your body. Only then your name comes. Only then your family and all that comes. So what you are, your identity is your face and your body. That is the first thing. And this human body resembles, reciprocate, and reflect its society. How? Say I am a no, South Indian, I am wearing a sari. North Indians, you wear a sari differently. And we both, when we together we go to America, they have a different dress, and their skin is different from ours. My skin is different from yours. So we reciprocate. Now, if you look at one married Indian woman, she will have Mangal Sudra and she will have Kumkum in her head. And these are culturally written things. Okay, our identity is also culture. So our body has all this. That is why our body is more important. You should have this the important point to remember, because only with this we will be dealing Holocaust. What is Nazi's ideology? Not every being with a human face is human. Now look at the word. Not every being with a human face is a human. If you are calling everybody as human being, Nazi says not everybody is human. Only Aryan race is human. All the rest are subhumans, or especially the Jews or subhumans. They are not up to the level to be called a human. So during Holocaust, Jews are always called as either subhumans or as parasites. Parasites is living creatures which will live on other creatures for food. You suck the blood of other being and then you live, you prosper. That is parasite. So Nazi's ideology is not every being with a human face is human. You have to remember this as well for today's class as well as for tomorrow's. Now look at the picture. I'm showing two pictures for you. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how this got changed. Who is who? Now you have one image where you have two girls sitting, and you have one more image where you have around 100 of people standing in a line. Can you identify one person from the other? And in the first image, you have two girls. Is it possible? Both look alike. If you have a color picture, probably they are of same size, same color, maybe dress is different, and they look alike. So the first thing what happened inside Holocaust is this. Now you remember yesterday I was telling you what happens after ghettoization. After coming into ghettos, they stay in the ghettos for say weeks or months, not more than that. They stay for a while and then they will be taken to the camps, the concentration camps. So when they are taken to the concentration camps, the concentration camps itself is divided. You have few places where you can work, and there are few camps called transit camps where people will be put there for a few days, and there are extermination camps. So you have three camps. At this time, you remember I was talking to you about what happened during the First World War and what was the condition after First World War. The condition was quite bad. They are now fighting they are fighting unemployment, and they are trying to improve their business. They are trying to improve their science and technology. So things are in the developing stage in the then Germany, and they want a lot of people to work for them. Say, I have industry, I built industries, and during Hitler's period only, they were also working with the cars. Today, the most of the German car companies that you have was from Hitler. Like earlier, Hitler was trying with all the experiments, and for all that labor, say if I take my own German people, I should pay more. If I'm going to take these Jews, then I should just pay them nothing but food. That is all. If I give them food, they can work, because they are already homeless. They are already jobless. They don't have their own home. They don't have their job. They don't have any property with them. all their jewels and money, everything is snatched away from them. They are they are like paupers now, and they are in the ghettos. And from the ghettos, I take all the healthy beings for the industrial work to lay railroads, for the road project works and whatnot. For everything, my human resource is from the Jews. But the side of the part is how this happened. You know how this happened? Imagine myself a Nazi doctor, okay, a Nazi doctor, and there are a lot of people standing in line straight from ghettos with their bags, small bags, whatever they have. And then they will be commanded to leave their bags so that they cannot have anything with them. No photographs of the family members, no money, nothing. Only them with their dress. After coming, I will say, remove your dresses. Women will stand in a separate line, men will stand in a separate line. And men will have orders from another doctor, women will have orders from a separate doctor. When I asked them to remove their dress, now imagine all young girls, married women, all from wealthy families, all with more cultural and moral values. Their ethics and their conscience will not allow them to remove their dress in front of so many soldiers and in front of so many men. But then, what I do, I take a stick and I beat this child or beat these women, or I take my gun and I shoot a woman for not obeying my orders. Then what happens? This fear of being beaten or being put to death forced them to remove their dresses. And after removing, I will not stop there. I will ask them to walk in front of me. Okay? It is not just a command, but it is also to the women. When the women are asked to do so, it was very abusive. It was also sexually abusive for most of these women. Tomorrow we will be talking about all that. Okay? So now what happens? I will ask them to walk. And when they walk to and forth, I will know if this person are healthy. Sometimes if I like a girl, if she is beautiful, then I put her in to live. Mostly the old people, the young children, pregnant women are all taken to the gas chambers immediately because they are of no use. Imagine what a 2-year child or 4-year child be of help. They cannot be helped. They can only be a nuisance to those kids and pregnant women. Because they are pregnant, they cannot be used for any work. And also because they are pregnant, they will beget a child, and that child will be a Jew. I don't want a Jew in my place anymore. Therefore, I don't want the pregnant women. All the pregnant women are taken into the gas campus, and old people are taken into the gas campus immediately. Men and women are separated. Now look at the situation. I have a child, say a child, 2 years old child, and I have a mother who is 60 years old. Both mother and my son will be taken to the gas chambers, and I will be taken to a different concentration camp. My husband will be taken to a different concentration camp. Meaning, I am not with my family anymore. You understand? So, if I'm not with my family, then a part of my identity is broken. And then what happens? People are asked to go and have a shower. They will be showering you. Oh no, before that, you have this. Before shower, you will be asked to get into a room named beauty parlor by a survivor. This survivor calls this place as a beauty parlor because once you get in, all your body hair is being removed. You may think why this body hair is removed, why this is more important. Now imagine yourself, all young girls here, think of having your head shaven. Will you come out? Will you come for a dance? Will you come to your any party? Will you think you will be comfortable with your whole head is being shaven? I don't think even boys will be happy about it. Because I have a young boy at home, 6 years old. He's just 6 years old. And then he says, Mama, don't cut my hair. If you're going to cut it very short, I don't think I look beautiful. And I ask him, is it okay if I shave your hair this summer? He says, no. Why do you want to do that? I look hell. I'll not be happy doing it. So even a very small child is not happy about shaving the head. And all these young girls are forced to shave their hair. Whole body hair, I would say. We will discuss all this tomorrow very deeply. I think tomorrow, maybe I will start the class by 1, but we will prolong it for 15 minutes because what we are going to talk tomorrow is more important. And also, there are a lot of things to discuss. So maybe tomorrow we will have 15 minutes extra if you all agree. Okay, that's being here. So your identity, when your hair is removed, you all look alike except your color and face. You will not identify anybody. So that is the case when you have a huge group. So their whole body hair is removed. And what happened with the hair? Why did they remove? They removed the hair in the name. They were telling like, we are removing your hair because we want you to be, very clean. We don't want any lies to, get involved in your cleanliness. That was the reason said. But you know what they did with the hair? They collected all the hair. The first images where the boxes, the tins in which the hairs are saved. Those tins may look small, but they can hold, 100 kgs of, at least 100 kgs of hair. Okay, the next image is the hair that they collected. After liberation, they found all this, and this is still there in the American Museum for us to witness the horror of Holocaust. They used these hairs for textile production, turned them into felt and yarn, used in manufacturing insulation, sold to many industrial companies, not just in Germany, but also around the world. And also, this is one main reason why they kept shaving the hair of the Jews. So look at this. How is it possible to do such, malicious things to another human beings? We will discuss that tomorrow. Tomorrow's class is not just about Holocaust, but it has a lot of values for today's world as well. So don't miss our class for tomorrow. And now look at this. Uniforms for all of these people. Now, you have doctors, lawyers, and rich people from the Jewish community. Now, imagine what dress they might have been wearing at that point of time. And there are also history. They have a place called Canada, okay? And in that place, all the rich dresses and rich toys of the children of the Jews are saved there, which could be used by the German people, German soldiers, or it could be sent to the German families. Now, what I don't understand is this. You call Jews as subhuman, you call Jews as someone really inferior, but then how could you use the dresses and toys used by these Jewish people? Now that's the question. That's what you're supposed to think as well. And then these people are given this uniform, all striped uniforms. You also have a beautiful movie on this called The Striped Pajamas. So if time permits, watch. Now, along with this dress, you are supposed to wear the star. And even before coming into the concentration camps, you are asked to wear the star. But even with this uniform, you will be wearing this star. And then what happens? Now, why this uniform? Again, to break the identity that you have. How am I different from the other one? The other one also is bald. The other one also wears the same uniform. And then it doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop here. Now, the main important thing is they are asked not to speak their own language. Most of the Jews, they speak Hebrew. And speaking Hebrew was punishable to death inside the concentration camp. So you can only speak German, or if you are speaking some other language, then you will be beaten to death. Even if you are speaking, then you should speak in such a way that no Nazi soldiers is hearing. So that is one rule. The next rule is you are not supposed to pray inside the concentration camps. If I find somebody, if I am a Nazi soldier and if I find somebody praying, then I can definitely kill them. On the spot, I can shoot them. Nobody will question me. So your language is being taken away from you. Your religion is taken away from you. Your family is already taken. Your physical feature, your hair, which is more important for your physical identity, is also removed. Then what else you have? Just your name. And that name is also removed. You are just a number there. Now look at the hands. These are the hands of the survivors after Holocaust. Somebody is 155035 and somebody else is 98288. Now, they just don't number you. Now, this is something that is also happening inside this education system in India. All of you are given this register number, and during the attendance, most of the teachers call you with this number. Number 1, cousin ma'am. Number 2, cousin ma'am. It shouldn't be that way. Even though you are given a number, you should be called by your proper name because that is your identity. Because even inside the classroom, in the exam hall, you only get your number. Because all of these are very systematic. But here they go a step ahead and the numbers are tattooed on their arms. And only because of this tattoos, many are dead. So sometimes it is not, they don't have proper people for this tattoo. They just have some people that they got from the roadside. And when this tattoo is being happening, it is also a very painful process, not like what you have today. So when they go through this painful process, for some people, they may bleed or they may have infection in their hand, and that way their whole hand will be removed. Once the hand is removed, you are not of use for the Germans, therefore you are thrown into the gas chambers. So you become a number. And why this becomes a very important thing? Because they don't stop with the tattooing. They also had roll call. Every morning and every night they had this roll call. They only call you with a number. They never use your name. Even though they know you by your name, they will not call you by your name. They will only call by the number that is tattooed on your hand. So this is how the first step is. The identity is completely deleted. Now you don't have any other identity other than being a Jew under the Nazis. So this is how the whole identity was being erased. And after erasing the identity, what happens? You lose the moral conscience that you have. You lose the values that you have. You lose the confidence that you have. Because see, when you turn, you don't have your family to look at you. You don't have your own people. Your community people are not with you to console you or to give you the power, to give you the strength of fighting what you have. But even though the situations are really bad for these people inside the concentration camps, in the upcoming classes you will also understand how these people fought the Nazis. Okay, so the first step that they took is identity, erasure of identity. This is not something happening only in Holocaust, but if you look around, this is happening everywhere, or at least they are trying to enforce this. And you, as young minds, you should be very careful. And when this is happening around you, you should be the first person to raise voice against it. Because these Jews, they didn't raise their voice against what was happening to them. And then they had, they lost so many lives inside the concentration camp. Being young individuals, being educated individuals, it is our duty to be very, very attentive on where you should be a good observer of your society, and whenever such things of erasing the identity of people or rewriting the narrative of people is happening, you should always raise your voice. So with that, today's session ends. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask.
Ragini, you can read the question.
Yes. How does identity shift when moving between different social environments like family, work, school? Okay, that is again a very interesting question. See, how your identity is created, your self-identity is created. Of course, all these society and culture, all this matters. But along with that, how you behave is also matters. Now, this is what I was thought of sharing with you in the beginning, and I totally forgot. Thank you, Gupta, for asking such questions. How you behave is the only thing that will stand as your identity. Now, imagine what happens in a funeral service. When you go to a funeral service, nobody will talk about you being a father or you being a good mother or you being a good teacher. Only what remains with the people is your deeds. Even you're a teacher, even though you're a good teacher, when a student comes for your funeral, the student only will tell, no, she's a very good teacher. She's so kind and sweet. No, whenever the student suffers, she sympathizes, she empathizes with her. Now, this deed only ends. And who does those deeds? It's you. So this is why people have different faces. At home, the father will be the strict person, a mini Hitler version you will have at home. But when the father goes to work, the father has a very different face with in the workplace. He is called a sweet person. No, many wives during the retirement function, they had quite a shock because of such statements being given. Because they were like, I have never seen my husband smile, and these people say that my husband is so good. So you have such things because you create your identity. Personally, I strongly believe that you create your identity with your deeds. How you behave is the only thing that will be in your mind. Even now, we have this workshop. Okay? After a week, probably you remember what I was teaching you. But after a month, if again Professor Dr. Sangeeta or Dr. Bandana is asking about this workshop, you may not remember what I taught, but you may remember how I behaved, how I was treating you. So this behavioral thing is the main component of your identity, I would say. And there are a few more questions, I guess. If uniform is creating difficulty to differentiate between two people, is the school uniform also doing the same? Of course. See, there are small differences between school uniform and the uniform I'm talking about. You know why people introduce school uniform? See, my father was able to get me only a dress, a salwar of 500 rupees. But then your father is capable of giving you 2000 rupees dress every day. And I look at you, I wear one simple sari and you are wearing all jamiki work sari. I feel bad about my dress. And I started hoping that my dad gets such dress. And then I also go home and I fight. What? Are you really a good daddy? Hey, look at my friend's daddy. He is getting such and such dress. And what kind of dress are you getting? Now, to avoid such differences, to avoid such partiality, it doesn't end there. It also goes connected with the teacher. What happens if you have good teacher? God bless those teachers. There are few teachers who have partiality. The teacher will give good marks for the girl who's wearing rich dresses. and or will have sweet talks with such kids. And maybe they are ill-treating those kids with poorly dressed. To avoid all such differences only, they brought this uniform thing inside school, which is more welcoming. So I don't think they are doing the same. But with the numbers, I do agree. Yeah, they are not supposed to call people with the numbers. I strongly agree with that. Is there any relation between absurd play and Holocaust? No, not at all. See, absurdity is you take a very light thing and you treat it very seriously, or you treat it in a very ridiculous way. You take a serious matter and you ridicule it. Now, take this play, what Samuel Beckett wrote, Waiting for the Godot. Both of them were waiting for somebody called Godot. They are very serious about it. Every day they come, they sit, they talk seriously. When is this man coming? This man is going to give the full meaning of their life, such, and they wait. Until the end, nobody knows who this Godot is. Now that is absurd. But what happens inside the Holocaust is not absurd. How could you call that as absurd? It is not at all absurd. What is the name of? I'll type the name. The boy in the five pajamas. That is the name of the movie. Can any individual's identity change after it? Of course. See, your identity will definitely change after experiencing trauma or conflict. If you are experiencing that trauma as a group, say like war or like genocide or some social calamity, one part of your identity will have that. Wherever, say, for example, Holocaust survivors, wherever they go, they are identified as Holocaust survivors. But if you are experiencing that as an individual, your characteristics will change in a way that your identity also changes. Maybe it is not a very drastic change, but yes, you will have that reflection in your identity as well. Identity shift may not be called as a result of narrative identity because that is not happening in every case. Because you believe something and therefore you set the narrative. That is different. But as a whole, identity is something that keeps evolving. See, yesterday I thought myself as someone. I thought being a teacher is great. Today I think being a writer is great. Therefore, I want to identify myself as a writer. So it is, you always have this narrative being changed, but identity being changed. But narrative identity is not the only reason. Just because the narrative I set, I don't keep changing my identity. To minimize the difference among them and build unity, okay. Our identity is being codified in a lot of areas like the Aadhaar card, where our identity is reduced to numbers. Is there something we should be concerned about? Thank you for the question, Annapurna. Of course, yes. All of this are connected. At least from the study that I have done, from the research that I have done for so many years, I strongly believe that all of this, it is not just your Aadhaar card anymore. Your Aadhaar card is connected to your PAN card. Your PAN card is connected to your bank, and all the two is also connected to your bank. And soon, all my vehicles, now my Aadhaar card is with my vehicle, my Aadhaar card is with my whatnot, with everything. And soon, if I am going out of my house, they will also come up with this chip mechanism. There are people doing research with this. They will come up with a chip, and this chip will be inserted in your body with this number. So number is the first step. The next step is the chip. When they insert this chip, you will be tracked down. It is more like you walk and people will know where you are walking. So we will come to that situation is not very far away from us. It is very much near. I'm not sure how we could change this. But of course, it is a matter of concern, Sinha. Even after knowing all these atrocities by German scientists, Western countries took them for their personal advancements. Don't I find it? See, we should also be talking about this because it is not just the Westerners. It is not just the Westerners. Even the Christian community, they were silent. Though they know what is happening. See, so Pope was called the somebody who is for peace and things like that, and also your UN and whatnot. All of these people are very silent, and they were like okay with what is happening inside them. And if today you ask, they say we never knew what was happening with the Nazis. One reason is they showed something else. They showed how the ghettos are for these people. They showed a beautiful ghettos, beautiful time, how Jews were spent there. They were showing that to the society. The question is, even then, do you think is it okay to put Jews in a separate place? Jews in a ghettos and keeping them comfortable in the ghettos is not okay. And the Westerners and the so-called moral people should have took their stand at that time, but they failed. Okay. In the dichotomy of oppression and oppressed, Nazis and the Jews, where can we put capitalist Nazi sympathizers like Oscar? Okay. It is again a good question, but when I say Nazi, it was only a part of Germany. The other part, they do not know what to do. But then if you raise your voice against the Nazis or if you act against Nazis, then you also become a prisoner of Nazis. You are also shot, you are also taken out. It is more like the government. The Hitler is the boss of Germany. Whatever Hitler says and whatever Nazi says is the only rule. You cannot raise your voice against it. If you raise your voice against that, then you become anti-Nazi. And anti-Nazi becomes a prisoner inside the Holocaust. So it was very difficult, and no, we should only thank God for people like Oskar Schindler who helped so many people, who helped so many children to survive the Holocaust. So I don't know where to put these people, and we will also discuss that because what happened after Holocaust, what happened during the trial of such Nazis are also important. If time permits, on the fifth day or the sixth day, we will also discuss about these Nazis who are not completely evil. We will talk about that as well. I guess that's all the question.
Yes.
I have answered all the questions.
Yes. Thank you, Annie. Thank you. You have answered all the questions well. Okay, now you must be tired. For the last 1 hour, you have kept on speaking. Ragini, please take over.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for such an informative and engaging session, which truly prompted us to reflect on the issue of identity and why identity is important, and how devastating events like genocides or mass killings can not only erase but also diminish the identity of entire communities. The way you elaborated on the complex and sensitive topic of the threat to individual and collective identities in the wake of human-caused calamities was truly commendable. We are deeply grateful for the way you have navigated this difficult subject with such clarity and depth, and we eagerly look forward to further interactions with you in the upcoming sessions. Your expertise in trauma, identity, and survival in Holocaust literature is something we all stand to greatly benefit from. I extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone for your active participation and cooperation in today's session of the workshop. Once again, I would like to thank our esteemed speaker, all our professors, research scholars, participants, and all my dear friends for making this session a success. We look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. Any information regarding the workshop will be communicated through our WhatsApp group. So please stay tuned and updated. Thank you all for joining and have a wonderful, great day ahead.